You're really going to break into a pregnant woman's home over a doorknob, Patricia? That's the last thing I said to Patricia Kenmore, right before she spun on her heels and strutted down my front walk, like she hadn't just crossed every line a neighbor's supposed to respect. Let me back up a sec, because this isn't just a story about a lock or some HOA rule. It's about the kind of power that slips through the cracks, right under your nose, until suddenly you realize you're not safe in your own house anymore. Patricia, our HOA president, was the clipboard queen, always flashing that pasted-on smile like she'd been deputized by the county. She never knocked. She'd just hover out front until Julia, my wife, 8 months pregnant and exhausted, stepped out to grab a package. That's when Patricia swooped, shoving a violation notice in her hand and snapping photos. Violation 4.2.3, Unauthorized Entry Hardware. She said my smart lock was basically a criminal device, some kind of surveillance. I tried explaining. This isn't about snooping, it's about protecting my wife, protecting our baby. But Patricia just doubled down. Should have submitted a request to the board, she said. That's how she operated. Like motherhood was just another form to file. I wasn't your average homeowner buying gadgets off Amazon. I built that lock from scratch, wrote the firmware, encrypted the logs, made sure nothing went to the cloud, and every unlock attempt, successful or not, was tracked. I'd done all that after my brother Ryan, Detective Ellery, walked me through a string of home invasions nobody saw coming. I promised myself we'd never be caught off guard like those families. And let me tell you, Julia was running on nerves and hope, counting kicks at midnight, flinching at every sound outside, not sleeping through the night. The nursery was ready, the car seat was buckled in, but every day felt like waiting for the other shoe to drop. That lock was more than tech. It was the thin line between fear and peace. When Patricia tossed around her made-up bylaw numbers, I didn't freak out. You're quoting a section that was repealed last year, I told her. She blinked, just once, a little twitch, but I saw it. Bluff called. And if you've ever had someone hide behind HOA power to boss you around, you know how that moment feels. This wasn't going to end with a fine. Spoiler alert, it ended with her in handcuffs. So, yeah, I told her straight up who I was. Marcus Ellery, security systems engineer, 22 certifications, 2 patents, and you just picked the wrong door. What I didn't say? I built that system after Ryan showed me what happens when people trust the rules to keep them safe. No more. Not for my family. That first night, I checked the lock logs. 3 pings, all from HOA devices with master key access, showed up while I was out. One had tried to unlock the door. System denied them. Julia was home. That changed everything. It wasn't suspicion anymore. It was certainty. I didn't know then that Patricia had one of those master keys, that she'd be back, letting herself in while my wife was alone. But I knew enough to start documenting. Julia tried to be brave. She didn't even complain. Just handed me the crumpled notice, clutching the baby monitor in her other hand, knuckles white. She was right here, Marcus, taking pictures while I was holding the package. That wasn't enforcement. That was provocation. I rewound the camera feed. There was Patricia, barely a foot from our door, phone up, eyes hard. She wasn't documenting. She was testing boundaries. And she wasn't just coming after us. By the next morning, 5 neighbors, 2 on our street, 3 across the cul-de-sac, had yellow slips taped to their windows. All from Patricia. All in the last 48 hours. An elderly couple, the Freemans, got a citation for window tint that had been there for years. Fred was shaking, mad as I'd ever seen him. Others got dinged for solar panels, faded fence paint, everybody who'd ever crossed her. And the rest of the board? Just let it slide. I filed an appeal, attached everything, certificates, diagrams, even the compliance letter from the lock company. The portal marked my case, under review, and locked me into an action. Do not modify entryway. It was a freeze order, one more leash. Julia started avoiding the front door. She asked if maybe we should just take the lock off, go back to something simple. But I told her no. It was never about the hardware. It was about not letting her control us. 3 days in, Patricia's car was parked across from our house again. Engine running, lights off, just her silhouette behind the glass. I watched from inside, hallway dark, barely breathing. She didn't move till midnight. Next morning, we got a second letter, no signature, no date, just final warning. Noncompliance may result in administrative action. That was her threat. Check the logs. Same device, same attempt. That night, I duplicated all footage off-site, set up 2 silent alerts in the system, one in the lock shaft, one hidden in the hallway cam. If Patricia crossed that line again, I'd have evidence she couldn't erase. Didn't tell Julia. She needed rest. Later, I ran into Elliot Garner, the HOA treasurer, emptying the board's mailbox. He wouldn't meet my eye. "She's pushing beyond policy now," he muttered. "Half these fines never got a vote. She just pushes them through." That's when I knew Patricia wasn't just bending rules. She was running a one-woman regime, and the other board members were either scared or complicit. Next meeting, Elliot didn't show. Patricia sat at the head of the table, running the show like a dictator, not a neighbor. Nobody asked about the freeze order on my house. She made it sound like progress, skipping over complaints and citations. I didn't confront her. I waited for Elliot outside. He looked rough, shirt wrinkled, hands shaking. "She's got the master keys," he finally admitted. "Supposed to be locked up, but she keeps them on her. Says it's for emergencies, no logs, no oversight. Is there any record she used one?" "No. That's the point." He looked defeated. "She does it when nobody's around. Calls it executive enforcement." Back home, I told Julia the truth. Patricia had a key, and she'd used it. Julia just squeezed my hand. We both knew it. This wasn't about property anymore. It was about safety. Then, another citation showed up. Violation 5.1.1, excessive digital surveillance. Not a real clause, just more nonsense. Julia watched from behind the curtain, her hand on her belly. Patricia's phone signature was caught outside our zone before sunrise. She lingered for 6 minutes, just watching. That's when I realized predators don't always have claws. Sometimes they just leave paper. Appeal still pending. Case flagged for defiance. Julia started double-checking the bedroom lock at night. I checked the whole perimeter, found a fresh gouge near the doorframe. A tool, not an accident. The log showed an unauthorized key attempt 3 days prior, rejected by the system. I'd disabled motion logging that day to help Julia rest. Patricia could have come inside. I rearmed every alert, set 2 backup triggers, no more blind spots. Another letter slid under the door. HOA reserves the right to enter properties in emergencies. No signature. I called Elliot, got no answer. Showed up at his house. He opened the door halfway, eyes puffy. I told him Patricia was prepping another entry. "I'll get you something," he said. "She watches everything. Even the printer logs. Give me 2 days." That night, I slept in the hallway, next to the nursery. Gun safe open, just in case. 2 days later, a flash drive appeared in my mailbox. On it, a grainy photo of Patricia in the HOA storage room, keys in hand, timestamp matching the unauthorized attempt. A redacted calendar entry, logging routine perimeter access, Ellery, at the same time. And an audio file, Elliot whispering, "You're entering his home without notice." "Patricia, it's not a home. It's a threat pretending to be compliant." I sent it all to Ryan. He said, "That's criminal trespass. You've got chain of custody." He started the affidavit. The case was moving. I reinforced the nursery again, added a pressure sensor in the door hinge. If anyone opened that door, it'd ping Ryan directly. That night, Patricia's car was back. But this time, she was on foot. My system caught her silhouette near the porch. No attempt to enter, just circling. She knew she'd been caught, but didn't stop. Ryan got the warrant signed next morning. Search of Patricia's office and HOA locker, 8 a.m. sharp. The whole street watched as patrol cars rolled up to the clubhouse. Word spread fast. By noon, neighbors were outside, trading stories. Elliot showed up at my door, hands empty, face pale. He handed me a folded email. "Patricia, proposing zero tolerance for noncompliance," naming us by name. He put a master key on the table. "She gave me this last month, for emergencies. I never used it. I knew what she was doing, and I didn't stop her. But now I'll testify. I'll explain everything." Next day, Ryan's building the case. Timeline, GPS logs, every camera ping, Patricia's own words. "She's going to lawyer up," he warned me. "Claim it was for safety. We need proof it was targeted." So I pulled the device data, 12 pings from Patricia's phone near our door, most after midnight. I packaged it up, took it straight to Ryan. He said, "This is the missing piece." We pushed to the prosecutor. "You're not just a witness now. You're the lead complainant." I checked with my neighbors. Each had their own story. Fines for rose bushes, chalk on the sidewalk, a rain stain on the driveway. Patricia was squeezing the whole street. I added one last trick, neighborhood-wide device trace. No personal data, just pings. If Patricia trespassed again, anywhere, I'd know. Friday morning, the evidence packet was thick. Every log, every map, every video. I handed it over at the station. Officer Delgado asked, "You ready to sign a sworn statement?" I signed. Now it was official, criminal complaint under review. Julia packed her hospital bag, just in case stress became labor. Sunday, I went to the open board meeting. Called out Patricia in front of everyone. Laid out the flash drive, the logs, the audio, the emails. "This isn't enforcement," I told them. "This is abuse." Patricia tried to interrupt, too late. Elliot stood, confirmed everything, resigned on the spot. The room erupted. Residents called for a vote, read the bylaw, and suspended Patricia right there. Delgado escorted her out. She didn't fight, didn't speak. Fred stood, leaning on his cane, voice steady. "She made us believe compliance was peace, but it was fear. That ends now." The applause was quiet, but it was real. Back home, Julia was on the porch. "They voted her out," I said. She nodded, relief in her eyes. "She tried to come again this morning," she whispered. "Just stood at the edge of the walk, didn't come closer. She won't be back, I promised." That night, I disabled the war level alerts. Left the main system on, but let the rest finally rest. 2 weeks later, our daughter Evelyn June was born, quiet, strong, curious. The HOA held an emergency election. Vince became president, and they passed new protections. No more secret keys, 72-hour notice for any inspection, a new clause protecting expecting mothers from enforcement in the last trimester. They even named one after us, the Ellery provision. Patricia never came back. She took a plea, no board service for 10 years, community service, fines. Was it enough? Maybe not. But the rules applied to her, too. This morning, Julia handed me that first citation, violation 4.2.3, the doorknob. I taped it inside the nursery closet. Not to hold a grudge, just to remember. This can happen to anyone. Not everyone has a detective for a brother, or neighbors willing to stand up. I do. And I did. That's why I'm telling you. So you know what to look for. So next time someone with a clipboard tries to turn your home into their kingdom, you know how to fight back. Share your story in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. Because the minute we stop letting silence protect people like Patricia, that's when we start taking our neighborhoods back.